Possibly. I think they need to get rid of the space control from Team Rival because the Fafnir ult, it can be a zoning ult. Same thing with Hoi ult. When Raijin ult, you have to back up and try to dodge that. And same with the Cabrakan ult. Obviously, like you can't group up versus their comp. And for Dignitas, once Sylvanus is down, once Thoth ult is down, they can just run into them for free. There's no area damage they really are threatened by that much.
I don't think Hui was necessarily the problem for them because, honestly, Ram was just well played, honestly, by Arkkyl. I feel he could honestly play any god, whether it's Scotty as well, just adding more space control for Dignitas. But what I'm looking more about is how they kind of clean up the after Fire Giant phase of how they actually penetrate into those Phoenixes. Sure, Hui not having to deal with that would be easier for them to get in there, but I'm looking at just being able to all in one specific target. I'm looking at maybe getting Wlfy out of the equation.
I feel like they were just a little impatient with that. I feel like they had multiple times where they had fire waves on the way to a Phoenix that was already destroyed. And instead of getting the wave pressure and pushing in with it, they would force the engagement. Trix would go in early. And it's not a bad engage. He was getting great ults. But because they went early, if the fight was stalemated, normally you could have a fire wave push in, take that Phoenix or do damage to the Titan and force a 5v4. But because they went in early, it would be a 5v5, it would be stalemate, and then they have to back up.
It just doesn't seem that Sylvanus has been very successful today, at least for Europe. Looking at also the earlier set where it was a Millsy playing some Sylvanus. Yeah, he hit some really clutch pulls, but for whatever reason, they're not getting the Ws. And I think that a lot of it to do is with the anti-healing. Wlfy picking up that Divine Ruin is doing a good job of limiting some of that options.
Right. Well, you pick it for the early game, right? Like Sylvanus has one of the best wave clears, probably the best of any support. So they're picking it for the early and then try to use the sustain to snowball. But there are so many gods that deal well with his engagement and can counter-engage on him that they're not finding the window to close the game before that starts to come into play.
I think one moment in particular that kind of just stuck out for me in that match at least was when Dignitas was trying to siege the middle of Phoenix and Arkkyl actually went up into his ultimate because he was trying to avoid getting poked down entirely, and the Cabrakan ult had actually come out and no one from Dig
nobody hit it,
actually hit it to try and remove that wall. And so it's just those little imperfections that I think Dignitas kept consistently making, and in a set like this, it's one of those
any
things.
small flaw will kill you 100%, especially when if your team comp is even a little bit weaker in that late game, or if your ults are down and theirs are up, any small mistake will kill you.
With this 5-game set, I'm really excited for this game number 3 here because Rival being up 2-0, it was really surprising to me because of how strong Dignitas was online and how poorly Rival played during the online, barely able to just get beyond out of relegations also.
It just feels like the teams have completely shifted positions. I mean, originally we just got so used to seeing Rival. Pretty much whenever it comes to the online portion for Rival, you're thinking, if they don't make it to LAN, pretty much everybody's good to go, but the second that Rival actually walks through those doors, you just know they're going to pop off.
There are just certain teams you could tell that are Lanimals, and Rival are up there. Definitely a top 3 team, and I'm also even more excited to see Energy play tomorrow during group play.
And Alpha Jackal as well. I think that there's been a lot of homework put into the drafts behind Rival, and there's a reason why they trust this guy as their coach. He's really been doing a lot of work for the team, pretty much meticulously studying every single motion by Dig.
I feel like if I'm Dig in this game, what I'm looking for is I want them to run the type of things that made them one of the most dominant teams and won them the Summer LAN and made them one of the top teams on the online split, and that's just run a full pressure early game comp. I want to see Zyrhoes on one of his best characters. I want to see if that type of style shift helps them, and if they end up stomping the game in like 22 minutes, that is a huge momentum swing. It gets their confidence back. They feel like they're in their groove, and then they just have to 2-0 like any online split.
Well, now that Dignitas have the first pick selection in game number 3, what do you think they're going to try and look for here?
Erlang Shen, potentially. Something very aggressive for variety, actually.
I love that because what I'm looking at here is you take the Fafnir away from Kalas. Trixtank is really good with it as well. And now they put themselves in the position where they have Osiris and Erlang open. They likely get one of them anyways, so you get variety on one of his best characters, Osiris taken by Rival. And then you can go ahead, and along with the Bologna or Erlang, whatever they would go, I would go ahead and take Zyrhoes God, and then I feel like they have a really strong setup to their draft.
Even Camazotz could be picked up by Dignitas. That could be run by variety as well as Qvofred if they really wanted to.
I do feel as though the Camazotz might suffer a bit more against the Osiris, so if Dignitas were to opt for that, it'd probably be headed for a jungle.
I think if I'm Dig, I'd rather top 2, or I'd rather top 3 Zyrhoes and variety here. I think if I'm looking at Qvo's god pool, he still has Kama, he still has Serket, he has Rat, he has Ravana, he still has multiple gods that he can play. So I'm not really worried about him so much right here.
And the AMC pick as well, I think, is incredibly important for Rival because there is still a little bit of flexibility left here as to whether or not that's going to be headed for mid. I can't imagine it being the case since Wlfy really tends to favor those mid mages.
And very similar to their game 1, Rival goes ahead and they pick winning side lane push characters. Osiris really good at fighting level 1. AMC has really good push level 1. So if they can form their comp around that and play off those side lanes, you might see something like Wlfy, where in the first game he just farmed on Zeus. It could be something similar.
If Dignitas don't get a pick for Zyrhoes now, then guaranteed Rival is going to ban away Morgan Soul the same way they've been doing games number 1 and 2. So they should know that this is about to happen.
I really want to see... And not necessarily the Morgan, but definitely at least one of those two that we know Zyrhoes is just
I think Sol
a beast
Hoyi
on.
here would be completely insane. You have 2 auto attackers with the Fafnir.
Yeah.
You can kite away from the Osiris, but again, because of the situation in solo, because they're putting this pressure on a Deathwalker, they feel like they have to pick an Erlang or they have to pick something for variety.
With an Athena last pick before the secondary ban phase for Rival, not a bad idea here to get that global pressure.
Historically, has also been his go-to pick after the Fafnir.
True.
It's usually either the Athena. We've also seen the Ares a couple of times,
Right.
and the very occasional Amir. But I think Athena is also a pretty strong support pick because, in a sense, she can kind of accomplish the same thing that Rival have been looking for in all of their drafts so far.
And it doesn't really matter what Wlfy plays after this Athena pick because he'll just get free abilities guaranteed landed, and more than likely the most optimal mid-mage pick for damage burst with Athena would be that Scylla.
And I thought you made a good point, Toli, about the Soul and the Morgan being banned out every time by Rival. They actually go with the Nemesis this time, which means they're looking towards Qvo. So unless they fourth pick a mage here, that means Zyrhoes is going to get one of those 2 characters that he hasn't touched the rest of the set.
Maybe this is on purpose from Rival just to get him a little bit out of the groove here. Deathwalker actually smiling after that.
Well, it could also
soul
be
ban.
a read, right? Maybe they're just saying, like, oh, we're wasting our bans. They want Thoth no matter what. And maybe they're trying to take that read and then also expose Qvo.
Oh, or since they have next pick, maybe they're the ones that are going to take Morgan here and ban away the soul.
That's what I was maybe thinking about just now. But Morgan being shipped away from Dignitas, there's really no one on Dig so far that I think you would want to utilize that Morgan. Well, I mean, granted, Morgan is always a great god to have on your side. You can maybe have the Osiris or the Erlang for your team, but you're used to seeing that with like the Ratataskers, the Camazotz, something that you can double ult.
And I think the reasoning here is trying to blow up Fafnir for Trixtank. Anytime you're going in the dragon form, drop the cripple underneath, not allowing him to jump away.
I think an even harder matchup is if they just taunt variety on the Erlang. Erlang gets countered or has the hardest time dealing with the Poseidon if it gets to the mid game, especially if you get that Gem of Isolation on, you don't have a Heavenly. That could be a big problem for variety.
Do you think that this Poseidon pick is going to potentially force an early Aegis out of either variety or Trixtank?
Possibly. I don't think either would start with it, but it is possible. The thing I think is interesting is that because of the Athena, they instantly banned Nox, which was otherwise ignored the whole set. And then they banned Raijin, which doesn't really follow up off of Athena the same way. It's not like the taunt, Poseidon combo, stuff like that. So it's interesting that Wlfy, I believe, played Poseidon a good bit in the online split, and they have characters that don't deal well with the cripple.
Those 2 bans, I think, are just allowing Dignitas now to freely penetrate that backline, right? Nox can easily disrupt. Raijin, Taiko Drums can push and pull you away. Poseidon, it has been played by Baskin yesterday in game number 4 against Space Station. Didn't have so much success, but with these buffs, it seems that Rival are electing to go this route. And with the cripple field, Ratatasker and Thoth kind of got shut down by that Whirlpool.
So I actually like the Thoth this game more than the other 2 games because in this scenario, Rival they don't have the Odin from the game 1 and they don't have the Cabrakan or anything that can lock him in. With this game, he should be out of range of those Athena dash taunt combos and he can poke Poseidon from a much longer range and 1 stun could be very impactful, but it's going to be Athena. Is that Athena jungle?
That's an Athena jungle, I believe.
Wow.
It could also possibly be the Athena in the solo lane because they could also have that.
I would keep
pressure.
Deathwalker on the Osiris. I think it'll probably be an Athena jungle, but they absolutely could switch that.
This is really interesting. They have a lot of space control between the Sylvanus and Athena. It's going to be very difficult.
Well, something
to
that I
get
like as
that
well,
backline.
I was just saying that the Thoth can poke the Poseidon from a longer range. You now heal that poke, and also if the rat lands on your Poseidon, you Sylvanus out, and then you're fine.
Well, you guys already saw what happened in the first 2 games. I got to know, what are your predictions for game 3?
Rival 3-0.
Yeah, this is so much momentum for Rival. I don't see them losing game number 3 here. It's a little bit of spicy picks. It could go either way, but I'm going to give my hat to Rival.
I'm going to say third time's the charm as well for Team Rival, but we've got F-Dot and Agra to let us find out.
Wlfy started his successful push playing Poseidon. And if you look across the way for Team Dignitas, all of their characters get destroyed by Poseidon. I think it'd be hard pressed to find somebody that said Dignitas won the draft.
Yeah, I think that I really like where this draft went for Rival. I mean, the Athena, everyone in the building thought that was going to be going for Kalas. Every single person did, no doubt, because as PBM mentioned on the desk, that has historically been his backup to Fafnir for a long time. That was his main before Fafnir really came out, and then it kind of took a back seat. But he had a phenomenal number of performances against this exact Dig roster at DreamHack Valencia with Athena support. So whenever they last picked the Sylvanus, which gives you some sustain to heal up that poke from the Thoth, from the Ratatosker, all of a sudden Dignitas is like, oh man, we didn't. I don't think they even considered that could have gone to iceicebaby in the jungle.
Not at all.
Now I am a little bit concerned if Rival fall behind early that they won't have enough damage to keep it up because they don't have a lot of burst through the mid game when behind. Poseidon, everyone always talks about Poseidon being Kraken dude, and to some extent he is. But the thing that makes Poseidon competitively viable is the Whirlpool, is the lockdown that it can provide. And Athena Poseidon is one of the most just one of the most difficult combos in Smite to work around, because if you don't have purification beads, as soon as Poseidon gets Gem of Isolation, you are probably dead in the midst of a team fight.
Arkkyl doesn't have purification beads. Kalas finds the root right away, and Arkkyl forced the beads out of it. Ricochet not going to hit any god, but certainly hits the minions, and that's more important at this moment in time.
That's a signal for iceicebaby to just head on over to the right-hand side and see if he can get a gank going onto Arkkyl. And quite a bit of poke going to happen here between that AMC and Sylvanus in the early game.
Ricochet again. Now Vote dealing with Trixtank back and forth. Full commit. There's a stun onto Vote, but a nice shell. And that'll help him out for now. Vote NBK is formerly known. Got to heal up just a little bit.
And that's what you expect from this early push, at least, in this side of the map. I mean, once you hit level 2, now Rival has a much better chance of trying to play aggressive because neither AMC nor Sylvanus have a way to get away from the Fafnir or the Huyi that are jumping on top of them. But that level 1 clear going Rival's way was no surprise. But in my mind, Vote and Kalas were just a little bit too aggressive there. If they just allow everyone to go back to their side of the map and then re-engage whenever the waves hit 2, they should be able to out-clear to get level 2 first, and then they can play aggressive after that. By allowing Vote to take so much poke from Trixtank's autos, literally just a little dwarf hammering away at him, all of a sudden now it's Dignitas with the advantage in that lane.
Brief pause here. Deathwalker running into some trouble, so Team Rival going to take care of that as we head on. But up 2-0. Team Rival have looked really strong these past 2 games. You know, I was talking to some of the players out in the pit, and we were just sort of discussing that last game. Nobody ever. It felt like Dignitas was in driver's seat the entire time, but they never really had a lead.
No, and Rival was always right there. Every time you were like, okay, Dignitas won a team fight. Let's take a look at the gold difference, and Rival still winning there? Like, what?
Because they kept getting, like, gold furies and picks and...
Exactly, and farming the map well. They never seemed out of it when it came to their attitudes or where they really were in the overall stage of the game. So you know that these guys are playing with a ton of confidence right now. When you can be losing for an entire game like that, lose all 3 of your Phoenixes, make a historic stand, and then come back and win in an hour, you got to be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, right here. This guy, Trixtank, certainly been one of the shining lights, I think, for Dignitas. He's been able to find these initiations. He's been able to find these knockups, and the Sylvanus play was great, but there just didn't seem to be follow-up. Dignitas seemed to be on a couple of different pages here.
Yeah, did not work as well as a unit as we saw them do at at DreamHack Valencia in the summer. That was the land that they ended up winning. They ended up actually going up 2-0 against Team Rival. Rival comes back and wins 2 in a row, and then Dignitas win game 5. Now it's Dignitas' turn to try and win 2, but maybe 3 in a row and try and find that reverse sweep.
Well, this issue seems to be with Trixtank, as we see new admin Ovrin really talking to him there. So trying to figure out whatever that is as we can get game number 3 on, which could be the final game if Rival has their way. And, you know, I don't look too much into trends, but yesterday we saw the full 5 games and then just a 3-hour. So today we saw the full 5 games. Maybe we'll have a 3-hour.
We might. And going back to the draft, I've talked already about how much I love this Poseidon pick for Wlfy and how well can he play it in the early game is going to be the question. Because if he needs to get into the boots and into the Gem of Isolation very quickly, because this whole composition is set up around taunts into Whirlpool. As long as that is happening, everything should be okay for Rival. Now, the problem with a composition like that is when a team has purification beads up and you kind of bait yourself. You say, hey, come get me. You know, your combo is right here waiting. You beads that, and then you kill the Athena, and then you can kind of roll through the rest of that team fight. That's where the Kraken is going to be important to kind of deter some of that aggression onto iceicebaby off of some relic usage. And that's another one of the things that's so potent about the Athena-Poseidon combo is every time you see Poseidon, you want to start off the game with Aegis because you don't want to get gobbled up. But you need purification beads against Athena, especially in Athena jungle, who's going to be all over the map. So now, until level 12, look at the relic choices. Beads. So as soon as Qvo, as soon as Zyrhoes, as soon as Arkkyl doesn't have those, all of a sudden, it's going to be Kraken City for those dudes. I
mean, it's the same idea behind the Aegis, right? Just burn one so that you're able to go ahead and really bring the noise here. And the Athena jungle, the Poseidon in the mid lane, you know, these are the choices that you always want to draft, but are difficult to choose because you don't know if the players can pilot them. Ice and Wlfy, on these 2 picks in particular, have been successful going back to last year, going back to a different org and a different coach. These are like staple picks. We talked about variety and what it's like to go back to that tier.
Right.
That's what we're seeing out of Ice and Wlfy here.
Yeah, I love it. And I love that. I always talk about comfort picks and how important they are to have it land. And this is another example of a really good opportunity to bring them out in a scenario where you're coming off a ton of momentum. It's all in your favor, and you can close out against one of the top teams in the world very early.
Aggressive play by Arkkyl, looking for the knockup and finds it. On to Vote. But he's able to eat back more damage than he sends out, actually.
Love the preemptive wisp there from Kalas. A lot of support players want to hold that, try and make sure they can get some damage out of it as well. But more important there than the damage were the physical protections coming from it to make sure that Vote was going to be safe. Even through the shell, Trix and Arkkyl end up taking more damage than Vote and Kalas.
One of the nice things that I like about Team Rival's composition is that, you know, you were talking... The problem for this comp is if they don't get themselves going, then they're going to find some trouble because specifically the Athena in the jungle will falter if he falls behind because of lack of damage. But at the end of the day, you still got to taunt into a Kraken. And that's enough to lean on, I think, if Team Rival have a game like last game where they don't really get ahead, but they don't really fall behind. You can still lean on that taunt just by itself.
I mean, anytime you've got taunt into any sort of big damage, you always have an opportunity to make a game-changing play. If a team gets greedy with their positioning, they don't respect how much damage you're going to be doing in any given stage. And I know I've talked so much about baiting up purification beads and looking at Qvo, Zyrhoes, and Arkkyl, but this Poseidon pick also does beautifully against Trixtank on the Fafnir.
Word.
One of the best matchups against Fafnir is as soon as he goes into that dragon form where everything's about to get real and you're like, oh no, we got to run away. You just slip a little Whirlpool underneath there. You got a Kraken waiting for him on the transform. He's dead before he can ever try and use that leap to get away.
Rival looking for their own blue buff. Going to get collapsed on here. Qvofred zoning out iceicebaby. Deathwalker knocked up and able to walk away. And thanks to Kalas showing a little bit of presence. There's a nice little hit from variety, but Deathwalker still relatively safe and sound. Wlfy makes the rotation from mid lane. Now all of a sudden it's Dignitas that find themselves in a precarious situation. Shots, Kalas able to walk out of all of them. There's the pull, the Kraken is good. Qvofred smoked out by iceicebaby. Boom! The big stump from the Athena.
Man, Wlfy right on time off that knockup from Kalas. Not too early, not too late, just right for first blood for Rival. Trix went back trying to get that speed buff, but I don't think he got it.
Whirlpool. Wlfy with the kill. 2-zip very early on here. And you can see the, the cooldown boots actually being picked up by the Athena. this time around. Usually you see the penetration boots, but iceicebaby going for more of a facilitator role.
Exactly. He knows he's got that Poseidon there with him to do the damage necessary. And even going to try and steal away these back camps of knowing that Qvo is going to go for the blue buff. Now Qvo doesn't get blue. He doesn't get backs. And all he's got to do is walk to lane and try and get some extra farm there. Love that play from iceicebaby.
And that's scary. This is when Athena is perhaps at her scariest, if not when she picks up that secondary item, if it's offensive. Is once you finish your, I'll say offensive boots, because like I said, usually we see pen, but the cooldown boots still giving you some power, and you've got some pizzazz with that, with the shaker. What is that?
The Sands of Time?
Yeah, that one. The shaker. Right now, Wlfy getting shaken up here. 3 players surrounded the Poseidon. He's going to go down into the depths. Variety goes ahead and gets credit for the kill. But yeah, just a little bit of power, and Athena's able to really make that shield wall hurt.
Wow, Deathwalker gets that blue buff. Everything coming up rival right now already for him.
I like that one. Coming up rival. It's cute.
Yeah, you use one like that sometimes, don't you?
Yeah, I said, well, it's the classic. Everything coming up Millhouse.
Yeah.
It's an old Simpsons quote. Right now, iceicebaby going to grab Arkkyl. Get his beads.
Ooh.
Oh, just barely to the right as Arkkyl finds the dash to the left.
So with so many junglers, we say, oh, that's beads. Now, he can come back and gank. Hunbat's got beads. Now he can come back and use Fear No Evil for the next, 2.5 minutes or so.
Taunt.
But it's not always easy. It's not always easy to do that. With Athena, it's as easy as, ult me, his dash is down, we can kill him easy. Now that iceicebaby's used the ultimate, it's going to take a little bit longer, but he's got 20% CDR between the boots and the Sands of Time.
Wlfy gets hit by a stun. Wlfy gets hit by Zyrhoes, and Wlfy gets hit by Zyrhoes one more time. And the mid laner evens things up 2-2 for Team Dig.
Good idea from Dignitas to focus down the critical part of this combination in that Poseidon. Athena can get ahead, but she's not really the one that's going to be doing the damage, going to be doing the things that make you unable to dash away. That's the Poseidon. So shut down Wlfy, get him behind early on, and make sure that even if you do get hit by that Athena Taunt Whirlpool combo, maybe you won't be doing quite as much damage to you.
Really intricate play from Team Dignitas there, all about the butterfly effect. They look to pincer the solo laner, forcing the Athena ultimate over to the right side, saving Deathwalker, and then immediately, as soon as that Athena ult is served, you see Qvofred, who is looking for the flank around, immediately come towards mid, helping out on the kill should they need him, because they wanted to focus Wlfy the entire time, just needed to bait out Iceice's ultimate.
Now, at the same token of shutting down Wlfy to make sure he's not doing quite as much damage, it's not that late game mage where you need 4 or 5 items to really be that annoyance for this composition for Wlfy. All he really needs, in my mind, is Spear of the Magus and a Gem of Isolation, and he's going to be able to do his job.
Qvo in the jungle, up in the sky, looking for the right-hand side as the invade is happening from Iceice, and he gets it! Iceice successfully able to snatch away the speed. Here comes help as Iceice brought down to half HP. The taunt's good. Wlfy takes care of Trixtank off camera, and iceicebaby trying to escape Variety.
He might be able to. Yeah, Ice is out. Now Deathwalker's looking for Zyrhoes underneath that mid tower. Forces out the purification beads, and that's more pressure now for Wlfy in the mid lane.
Tower. Deathwalker doesn't care about the lack of the kill right there. I mean, Deathwalker, he's already got 2 assists. Don't even need him. It's all about the tier 1 tower.
And that's more pressure for Wlfy in the mid lane and less ability for Zyrhoes to play aggressive with that Thoth. I mean, how often have we seen Zyrhoes in this set try and use that dash aggressively to set up for a stun? Dash to the side, not putting yourself in position to not in the front line, but just giving yourself the option of using that long range stun. Now, even if he's dashing sideways, dashing backwards, still pretty far away from a tower. If you're fighting around mid camps, you're fighting around Gold Fury, it's a lot harder to be comfortable using that dash in an aggressive manner like that without your tier 1.
I'm really interested to seeing where Wlfy goes with this build. One of my favorite things is the early Spear of the Magus.
Love it.
It just chews through so much of the protection.
It's true damage, basically. I mean, you're talking, you get those 5 stacks, you're gonna be in a good spot. Vote not in a good spot. Now he's already used the beads. Might be juking himself to death. Tried to turn it around onto Arkkyl. Love the idea.
No, he juked. Looked like he was juking himself to death because he knew he had help from the Athena. Unfortunately, came a little bit too late. Wlfy slow as well. Kraken Man gonna deal damage to Qvofred, but it's all Quavo, baby. Iceice falls down 2 for none. Dignitas.
Vote just too early on the purification beads, maybe giving Arkkyl a little bit too much respect that he was going to hit some crazy bounce off the wall to stun him with the mark. If he holds those beads, that allows him to just run straight, go to the tower, beads the hammer from Trixtank, and we'll be A-okay instead. And then he starts to juke around. If he hits that stinger onto Arkkyl and insta-kills him with the Athena ult, we're talking about a crazy, 2-on-2 play in the duo lane. But even still, with Qvofred coming, that's going to end up being in Dignitas' favor probably either way.
Everything was just a little bit too slow for my liking, Aggro. I think Rival, if they make that play again and they speed everything up by 1.5 seconds, that becomes the highlight play you're talking about. It was just the communication was just a little bit too slow. Hey, look at this battle. Guardian versus Guardian. This summer, Trixtank, Collis, no damage.
They did have a battle this summer, and Trixtank, I saw that movie, Trixtank won.
Yeah, this is actually the replay from Summer Finals. So this is Dig Rival, take 2.
Rival's Revenge.
I like that.
That's good, right?
No, that was good.
Thanks, man.
The voice, not so much.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't have that. I don't have that going for me. But
You just don't have it.
yeah, I don't. You don't have to rub it in.
Well, you can be the writer. It works out. It's all about a team. That's what we have here. Teamwork makes the dream work, as Taco would say. And right now, Team Rival absolutely making it happen. Red just seeping into Team Dignitas' jungle. Qvo able to actually secure his speed buff this time, but Rival not letting them feel comfortable whatsoever.
Now, the first few games in this set, both Wlfy and Zyrhoes have been rushing this Warlock Sash, trying to get it going early, trying to hit that 100-stack mark as early as possible. This time, Wlfy does go for that early Spear of the Magus, which we both discussed that we love.
Yeah.
But Zyrhoes still went for that Warlock Sash, and he's already nearing 75 stacks, 3/4 done with this item. So that Kraken is going to be a little bit harder to finish off Zyrhoes. Won't have that 100-0 potential until Wlfy gets another item.
But it's also about the bigger picture, right? Items do not exist in a vacuum. And I particularly like the Spear of the Magus because you also have a magical jungler, Athena, who with the Void Stone, that's what I was talking about, another offensive item. Fantastic choice. The Void Stone has gotten really good here of late. And Sylvanus, make no bones about it, is also going to provide a little bit of damage by way of these wisps. And that's going to be helped out by the spear as well. Wlfy picks this up knowing his teammates are going to be amplified as well.
No, I completely agree. I think this is absolutely the right build for Wlfy. It's just that he won't have that big 100-0 potential onto Zyrhoes, not through any fault of his own build, but more looking at the build that Zyrhoes has gone for with that early Warlock Sash.
Right.
But again, that's not Wlfy's job in this game. It's to follow up off of Athena Taunt and off of Colossus' roots and pools, and that's it. That's all he has to do.
Yep.
And that's why he went for this penetration option, which helps augment those other magical damage dealers, as you pointed out, and now working towards what needs to be a gem of isolation.
I mean, we were having a laugh before, talking about like teamwork between you and I. But I mean, when it comes down to it, Rival, sure, in your ranked game, you're kind of building so that you yourself can kill somebody 100-0. But Rival are well aware that it's nobody's job in particular to 100-0 anybody, especially when you have an Athena jungle. If you're rocking a Loki or you're rocking a Najah, that conversation changes. But this is all about I do 40%, you do 40%, you do 20%, and somebody's dead.
I love the way Wlfy's clearing the waves right now. Even that little tiny group up in the mid lane. Wlfy uses his 1, his Tidal Surge, his 2, his Trident, holding on to the Whirlpool. You want to hold on to your most important abilities if you don't need them to clear the wave. And that just goes back to the idea of what this entire composition is built around for Rival. Wlfy's not trying to use Whirlpool in any scenario where there isn't going to be some sort of setup for him.
Ice now building a little bit more defensively. Likely to see a Breastplate of Valor, I think, to really bring out some of that CDR.
Could be it probably won't be, and I agree, it's probably going to be a Breastplate of Valor, but I think that Spectral Armor is an item that we haven't seen enough of recently, and one that does very well up against Ratatoskr, where the big part of Ratatoskr's kit that makes him so effective as a jungler right now is that protection shred off the Flurry of Acorns. Or even when you get ulted by him, if he comes landing down and immediately gets feared away from you, it prevents a lot of the follow-up. It gives a lot of disruption. That is a really disorienting item to get hit by.
Yeah, it is.
It can be effective in a situation like this.
It's a fun item. The last time I really thought about it was, we've got Adventures of Herkopolis coming out, but before we had a Tainted Arena with holes in the floor, Cyclone Spin bought that item and forced people into the hole.
Yeah, that was messed up.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So fun in the adventures. But Spectral Armor also can make a showing in the Conquest. I think we've seen Raffer buy it a handful of times. Raffer experimented with a lot of those newer items, always kind of having the open mind. And Raffer really falling on the Emperor's Armor. Raffer really one of the guys that loves that choice.
Really, really strong pick for whenever you're about to start sieging or when the enemy team is about to start sieging to bolster your own towers or kind of take away from what the enemy towers are doing.
Right now, Gold's Fury going to be the focus as Team Rival jumps in and goes for it. Team Rival, they're looking for a little bit of a team fight. Let's ride along with them. Thanks to...
Tricks. I might shoot into
I can shell. Nice.
Good job.
Do gold.
Yo, Thoth,
Can you rotate?
Yeah, I'm on. I don't think Thoth will, no.
You want me to tank it?
Wait for me.
2 seconds and I have 10. Okay.
He's gonna jump if you dash on him. No,
I'm going now.
I'm close.
Yeah. Got him. Donning him.
Oh. Can we get him?
Erlang is chasing me. Holding you.
Nice.
And our team fight listed in, brought to you by Sennheiser. Collis hanging on for dear life. No, Ricochet, fantastic team fight coming out from Team Rival, and just a fantastic communication.
Arkkyl might be dead here, or at least have to use the Aegis off this stun, though he does have a lot of help coming. Qvo finds a stun, Trixtank there as well, so will force Deathwalker back. Doesn't need to use the Aegis. Good patience there by Arkkyl, but better patience by Rival. Love the call to just wait. Keep it leashed, but don't try and burst it quite yet. I've got Taunting too, and what is the whole composition built around, Tom?
Yep.
Taunt into Whirlpool, into kill Zyrhoes because he beats the beginning of the engagement.
That's what I loved the most about it. Everybody was like, Zyrhoes, watch out for Zyrhoes. And then iceicebaby just comes through and he's like, I have a taunt.
I didn't hear a single in the middle of that, Tom.
That's exactly what he sounds like, Ryan.
Clearly not.
I don't know what listening you're listening. I'm listening to the Sennheiser listening. That's the one I'm hearing. I don't know where you're at, but I heard iceicebaby say, I got a taunt in a 2 and a 1 and a taunt.
All right.
That's what I heard.
I want to know, I do not agree with this Warlock Sash third item here for Wlfy. We talk so much about how long this item takes to start ramping up in order to get some effectiveness, and I really think the Gem of Isolation would have been the better pick for him here. This is a team that is already off to a good roll. You're up 4K. Just try and keep it going with a gem.
Hard agree. The Warlock Sash is kind of like we want to stop moving for a while.
Yeah.
Can't stop, won't stop. You got to just keep going right now. You have all the momentum in the world. You want health that bad? Gem of Isolation's got health.
It does. Some CCR as well.
Portal Demon being wrestled. Team Rival have control. Beautiful two-man taunt until all of the damage on the planet. Kraken Man comes through, but it's the god of bees. Vote gets the kill so far. Vote with the Doubleune. And Qvofred on the run. Collis looking for the pull. Won't be able to find it, but Portal Demon brought down very low. And DW sends Arkkyl back to base.
Arkkyl just hates his life right now. Deathwalker's been all over him all game. This Osiris, it's been banned a lot today, and Deathwalker giving you a showcase as to exactly why. Qvo tried his best to get in there and disrupt, but it was already too late. That's what I'm talking about with this composition, as if it can get rolling early on, it is really difficult to handle.
Woof. That's all I can say about Team Dignitas. Qvofred trying to fight his way into this Fire Giant pull, but the entirety of Rival going to collapse on him. Still alive for the moment. Same as a Fire Giant, brought down to about 60%. Rival now collapsing back onto it. Thoth guy is around. Collis looking for the zone. Ice gets the kill on a Qvofred. Thoth guy can fire. Too late. Team Rival get the Fire Giant.
Dignitas just too hesitant there. Zyrhoes in particular to try and steal that away. I mean, he's the only one in the neighborhood, but didn't even try and fire off that ultimate. To me, Dignitas look like they've lost some confidence. I mean, the decision-making just hasn't been there for them in this set. And it's hard not to lose confidence whenever you have a game like Game 2 of this set where you're in control for a large portion of it, you get all 3 Phoenixes, and you end up losing. It's hard to kind of keep your head about you, but this does not look like the Dignitas that we're used to seeing.
This doesn't. If we didn't have player cams, I don't know what I would say. But Dignitas and Rival look like two completely separate teams than what we saw online. You know, Ryan, I asked you on broadcast during the regular season. I said, do you think this thing about Team Rival being bad online and great offline is real? And you said, no.
I still stand by it.
What? Look at this team. What planet are you on? Because I'm on Planet Rival.
Look, I talked to Deathwalker before the games, before the LAN, and I asked him if he thought that there was any credence to that, and he said that he does think that Rival loses focus during the online phase and starts to focus up again on LAN, and but that in my mind goes for. I think that you can say that for any team, whether it's good or bad. Any team you could say they play better here than here. And for Rival, it just happens to be, are they a little bit better offline or online? Of course they look like they're better online, but I don't think that they are some bottom, middle of the SPL team at any given week online, and then the best team on Earth on LAN.
Trixtank immediately goes in, pops the ultimate too soon. Executus, he's chased out, has to jump on the backside. Deathwalker zoning everybody out, and by the way, Vote picks up kill number 4 as Qvofred falls to the wayside. Nice ultimate by the Athena to protect Deathwalker as he tanks out the tower. Little bit of mechanics there. Tier 2. Pocket of Team Rival. They're looking at the Firebird.
Massive Glad Shield heal there by Deathwalker. Going for Shield Stone of Gaia right after the Glad Shield makes that heal even stronger.
Zyrhoes from green to red just like that. Barely avoiding death. Left side Phoenix still alive, but just for the moment.
Zyrhoes has returned, finds the stun onto Deathwalker, but they just don't have enough damage to punch through him. He's level 17 with plenty of HP.
Arkkyl has to jump away. Trixtank relatively low. Deathwalker on the chase. The Phoenix is down. Variety also being chased. Team Rival show good discipline and a pullback looking for the retreat.
10K already for Rival. I mean, this is a
We're only
dominant
21 minutes in.
dominance from them in this one. And don't forget how dominant they were in game 1 too. And it wasn't in this fashion. They're dominant here because they're out fighting Dignitas. They're invading all the time. They're fighting better than Dig, and their draft works really well together. Game 1 for Rival was just perfection in its simplicity. It was, we are doing this. Are you going to come and fight us? No? Okay, we'll take Gold Fury. Or we're going to take this buff. You want to fight us? No? Okay, we'll take this buff too. And that game is still affecting how Dignitas' decision-making has been in this one, in my mind. I mean, it's Dig trying to contest a Gold Fury that is up in the air, but at a point in the game where Rival's composition is going to be stronger. Having a team that dominates you like Rival did in game 1, where if you do nothing, like Dignitas, doing nothing is the wrong call. Playing patient and playing for the later stages and trying to out-team fight people in the late game is one of Dignitas' classic calling cards.
Absolutely.
Rival take that and shove it in Dignitas' face in game 1. So in game 3 here, they're like, well, we can't do that again. Let's try and fight. Problem is, Rival wants that to happen, and they just body them doing that too.
Deathwalker already half, and the jungler to the backside. Kraken is going to largely miss, but Qvofred down to half. Arkkyl gets taken out by the support. Deathwalker behind enemy lines, just chewing through the opposition. iceicebaby, 516, gets a kill. Variety is able to bite back and take down Deathwalker. The mid lane Phoenix largely alive here, folks.
That shell saves iceicebaby's life and makes sure that heal goes off from Kalas in time. Mid Phoenix still stands, still not enough to bring it down quite yet. Fire Giant's about to respawn though, and even with 4 members, Rival might be able to do this pretty quickly.
Hey, quick side note. You know slash line for iceicebaby? Mm-hmm. That's an area code for Long Island. It's Nassau County. That's where I'm from. 516.
Thanks for contributing to the broadcast, Tom.
Anytime. What I do want to say, though, is Team Rival over this course of the series has been very scary, particularly because of what you brought up earlier, right? Surgical in game number 1. If game 1 is nip tuck, game 3 is Band of Brothers, right? You have 2 of the opposite sides here going on. You've got 7 minutes separating First Blood and the Titanfall, a total kill count of maybe 9, 7 belonging to Team Rival, right? It was 1 team fight and that was it. Game 3, the opposite. It's all just bang-a-rang. Head-to-head action, just complete anarchy, everybody fighting. Game 1, barely fighting until you had to. And game 3, we're going to do it all from behind. Underneath the thumb of the enemy team, 3 Phoenixes down. Team Rival have shown they can play the slow game. Team Rival have shown they can play the fast game. And Team Rival have shown they can play the losing game. What the hell else do you need from a team?
Nothing, man. This is a team that is a world's contender, a world finalist contender with if they can play this style. There's no doubt in my mind.
You can play every style. Everything has just been on display. Variety tries to look for the flank, brought down to a quarter of HP. Here comes the jungler, great knockup, but where's the follow-up? Gets the ultimate out of Callus. Good play right there. However, the Athena on the back end. Thoth, Kraken, we'll see you later, Qvo.
Wlfy gets credit for that one. Deathwalker tanking up this tower pretty low here, but not going to fall quite yet. Wlfy low as well. Keep in mind, they've got that Fire Giant sustain and the Sylvanus heals. Rival might be able to stick around and still go for this Phoenix.
I like the knockback coming out from Wlfy, long-range charge. And the Honey going to protect Team Rival. Going to look for a little bit of a heal up here from Callus. Last time we saw Sylvanus heal and regroup. Didn't go so well for Dignitas, but they didn't have a taunt into a whirlpool, into the god of bees. 5, 2, and 6 for the Hunter out of Scotland. Votes on a tear. Arkkyl down to half HP, forced into the fountain. He'll bite back, but the right side is gone. The left side barely alive. Middle, nice and healthy for now.
Qvo is going to respawn soon, but he might be without a solo laner.
Again!
Just like that. Taunt, whirlpool, vote. Gets credit. 17 now for Rival, and this mid-Phoenix not long for this world.
25% on the objective. Team Rival looking
boy.
for it. Team Rival getting it. Qvofred sit down for the 7th time this game. 18-6. Team Rival looking for the win.
Double taunt there, double Kraken there.
Oh my goodness.
And Rival is going to be going to Worlds.
Ladies and gentlemen, Team Rival in 3 short games have been able to topple Team Dignitas. The true David versus Goliath. Alpha Jackal and his squad head directly to Worlds.
What a performance from Rival. I mean, you knew they were going to be prepared. You knew that they were going to put everything they had into the semifinal because of how close their matchup was with Dignitas at DreamHack Valencia. You knew these guys could do it. They took Dig to 5 in Summer Split. I didn't think they could do it in 3. That was in 2 very short games out of those 3 as well.
So I talked to the entire pit. All of our pros are sitting out here. Some left for dinner just before, but before the game, everybody was here. Everybody said 3-0 or 3-1 Team Dignitas. The exception being Panda Cat, who had a cheeky answer as to why, but he was rooting for Team Rival. And I will say, nobody I spoke to had Rival in 3.
That was impressive stuff. And Obey, who had a really long, really hard-fought set against Elevate, they better be ready come Sunday if they want to secure the top seed in Europe, because you know Rival's going to be ready.
That was a scary thing. Like what I said towards the end, 3 games, 3 separate ways of winning. Well, you know, usually you look at a team and you go, all right, no problem, we'll just play slow.
Right.
Can't do that. All right, no problem, we'll just play fast.
Can't do that.
All right, no problem, we'll just get the lead.
Nah, it doesn't matter.
Rival just on top, absolutely making their way and earning their way to HRX. We'll break it down further with Polar Bear Mike.
Polar Bear Mike, indeed. And I mean, watching that phenomenal performance from Team Rival actually ending up closing the series in a relatively fast game, but do you think that that was kind of expected, how quick that match was paced?
Once they got ahead, yeah. I figured Dig was probably not in it mentally as much as they'd like to be, so.
I mean, they were basically about to win game number 2. It was a 1-hour-long game. Now game number 3, very similar to the old-fashioned of game number 1. Rival surprising almost everyone in this building with a 3-0 victory. Now, some people predicted the set win, but I don't think they necessarily predicted the 3-0.
Shout-outs to Benji. He called 3-0. I'm pretty sure he was maybe just being a little trolly at the time, but, I mean, he did call it. So,
I mean,
there you go.
We also heard the reasoning for Panda Cat on his 3-0, but that was a pretty cheeky reason behind it. You guys can maybe ask him about it later on, but more importantly, this match, and I think Rival's gameplay throughout, it only got progressively better.
There was just no response, honestly, by Dignitas. Like Polar Bear Mike said, that every sort of attempt that they had inside this game, Rival had an answer for, invading the jungle repeatedly over and over again. And I don't think they necessarily expected this Athena jungle here just repeatedly invading.
Yeah, I think the Athena, I just think they played the map better. Like, it seemed like they played objectives better, they played the map better, they were playing more proactively, and I think Rival really just kind of outpaced Dignitas throughout the entirety of this set. with the exception of pre-20 minutes in Game 2.
Were you ever even the slightest bit concerned for Wlfy, though, piloting that beside him? Because I can feel as though that might be a little bit risky.
Well, I had mentioned before the game that I thought it would be okay because at the very least he would be one of the best picks at shutting down Variety on Erlang. And once you get kills like this in the early game, like you're feeling really good about Poseidon.
And also killing Trixtank, playing this Fafnir, just
Right.
such easy picks every single time. And the fact that this Athena was paired up with Wlfy's Poseidon was the key factor. Not only do you have some easy initiations with that taunt, but you also have that Defender of Olympus mitigating a lot of incoming damage, specifically against Qvofred's Ratatasker.
And I thought something that Wlfy did really well was he had great whirlpools. Like a lot of people think Poseidon's about the Kraken. It's really not. It's all about the whirlpools and getting spacing and putting people in bad spots. And he had great whirlpool placement.
And on top of all of that, you've also got to keep in mind, a lot of those whirlpools were coming off the back of Kalos' pools. He had some excellent
Yeah.
Sylvanus pools, and some very spicy ones at that, because it was through the wall, through every single objective that you would not typically be worried about defending.
They all threw us for a loop, honestly, with that Athena pick. We all thought that was going to go for Kalos, but then last picking this Sylvanus, having this double Guardian, I was a little bit worried towards the late game for Rival, like if they were to get to that 35+ minute mark, but they made sure that once they got a lead, they got every single objective.
Right. I think something Kalos did this game as well is that I had mentioned this before the set that if Ice and them were able to get out to a lead on the solo side of the map, he was able to be a playmaker, and he did that this game. He had some great pools. He controlled team fights well. He peeled great. Just a well-played game by everyone on Rival.
After such a strong start in game number 3 for Rival, I think that is just one of those moments where, from the previous match being a pretty much 60-minute game for Dignitas, something that they were ahead in, and then ended up losing it once Rival gets a lead in game number 3, that pretty much just sealed the deal on the game, both in-game and just mentally for Dignitas. It was kind of clear across the players' faces in those player cams, at least, and even at the end there, Qvo and Variety, they just started taking off their headphones, and it's just rough stuff when you think about it.
And now finally a Rival get revenge after losing in Valencia here, going the distance in the 5-game set previously, but now not wanting to go the distance there. They got the lead, they closed it out. Well done to Rival. Taking a look at the brackets here earlier on today, Obey Alliance there is going to be matched up against Rival for Sunday's games.
And these are really important matchups as well for these teams on Sunday, because it's going to determine the seeding for Worlds. So both of these guys still going to make sure to do their homework, even though they get that little brief, relaxing moment, just knowing that they're not going to have to worry about the group stages. And speaking of which, Mike, what do you think about Dig headed for groups?
I would not want to be other teams in groups, and I think it is absolutely insane that Dig and Energy are 2 of the team in groups. Space Station looked great yesterday as well. I think same with Elevate. I think groups is going to be completely crazy.
Talk to me a little bit about groups here, because last year, I believe you were in groups with Team Allegiance there.
I think it's really momentum-based. If you can get the right matchup early, potentially with a team that was tilted from losing their best of 5, you can really gain momentum and just steamroll. I think games go a little later in groups as well, so you have more chances to come back.
Didn't you guys go undefeated or 4-1?
I don't remember. It went by so quick, honestly. It's hard to tell.
A group should be a really fun time, and it should definitely be exciting to watch. But for everybody back at home, you guys already know the teams that qualified already from yesterday and today's matches, they're going to be headed straight for Worlds, and hopefully you are too. But in case you don't get a chance to make it out to HRX yourself, you can still watch it back at home.
If I can just finish here for a second, what you'll see is Fenrir in the middle, Ratatasker coming around his shoulder. On the right, you got them sharing the popcorn. Really great infographic right here.
Thor just enjoying that Coca-Cola. We're really out here with our Ron Jobber.
Oh, thanks a lot, Ron. I really appreciated that hot take, most importantly of all. But for those of you... oh man, there's so many things to be said right now that just can't be said because it's broadcast. But anyway, moving on to the HRX stuff, is still, for those of you that are able to make it out to HRX, make sure if you're going to pick up your ticket, you're going to pick it up with code SPL25. Go ahead and save yourself that 25% off.
Get a chance to hang out with us, the casters, as well as PBM and other players that might make it through group play.
And of course, on top of the HRX stuff that we got going on, and you wanting to see your favorite players over at the Worlds event, we are still having our skin sale going on as well for those select past champion skins. And that's just something that a lot of people, I think, have really been looking out for. I'm not going to give Mike the chance to say anything about this one. Just stop. And
but you had Soul on the right, I believe, and
Epsilon.
Okay.
Epsilon.
Yeah.
Everything now is just all all for PBM. He had to get it in there. Shout outs to Ron Jobber
Sorry.
on the desk for that one. But most importantly of all, we've got an interview standing by from Rival themselves. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks a lot, Taco. Just so you guys know, from left to right, that was Scylla, Kronos, and Soul on that graphic. Definitely want to nail that. But I'm standing here with the mid laner for Team Rival, Wlfy. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
On your victory, your 3-0 victory. We'll get into the nitty-gritty a little bit later, but I want to reflect on the past. You guys came in, made it to finals in the summer. You guys stretched it to 5, wound up losing to Team Dignitas. Here, you spank them. What's the feel like?
It feels amazing. After losing to them 3-2 and then like coming here and then just having a clean 2-0, I was dreaming about this revenge, and I'm really, really happy that it finally happened, and like we qualified for Worlds.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously qualified for which means more to you, qualifying for Worlds or getting that revenge?
Both.
Yeah, that's what I figured. You have that look, and because of that, I want to talk to you about the specific opponent, Dignitas. I mean, me myself, a lot of people think that they're one of, if not the best team in the world. You're the underdog in this matchup. How does that affect you coming into it?
It doesn't affect me at all. I know how they play. We're scrim partners. We've been scrimming against them so much. And from DreamHack to now, nothing really happened. Like, they didn't get any new picks, anything. It's just normal.
Yeah.
It's just like the old stuff.
So just another day at work.
It's just another day at work, yeah.
Well, you guys looked fantastic. One of the things that me and Aggro really harped on was the fact that you guys won 3 in a row, and you won 3 very different ways. Game 1,
yeah,
slow and surgical. Game 2, you were losing, and game 3, hard and fast. Talk to me about that.
Because we wanted to change strats. We never wanted to like give them anything. So like we didn't want to like get counter pick. We didn't want to. We just wanted to have the advantage over them every single time. So that's why we changed the draft and the style of play every single time.
iceicebaby particularly plays some of these assassins, right? The Athena jungle a little bit different.
It's because nobody expected it. And you gotta have something janky, something that is we never played before. So like we knew the stats from scrims because we played it in scrims before, and we thought like why not to bring it at LAN, and it worked out perfectly.
Well, I mean, you guys paired sort of like getting married. You paired something old with something new with something old. You're Poseidon, one of the first gods you came through on the scene with, man.
Yeah, I'm really happy to play him again. My KD with him has been like terrible. I played him so poorly throughout like probably every single split and every single season, and I'm really happy that I had a decent game. I wouldn't say it was a good game, but I had a decent game with him.
Sure, you guys stomped it, but I'll give you decent. And right here, I want to ask you perhaps the most burning question. Fans at home have sort of lamented your online presence, saying Rival not so hot online, but when it comes time to LAN, you guys really turn it up. Right now, that passes the eye test. How do you feel?
I'm just feeling great. I'm really happy for like our fans that supported us to just give them like a clean 2-0 against Dignitas and show our true potential going into Worlds. I'm just like, I feel great.
Do you think you're a better team on LAN than you are online?
Yes, I do, because we're preparing better.
Does that matter?
Not really.
It's all about the LAN, baby, right?
Yes.
Before we let you go, anything you want to say to the fans at home?
Shout out to our fans, my family. Eyes for saying that it's going to be a 5-0, but it was only a 4-0 apparently. And shout out to you guys for hosting an amazing tournament.
Thank you so much. This is Wlfy, mid laner for Team Rival, who've just secured their berth to HRX after toppling Team Dignitas in 3 very short games. We've got an entire weekend left of Super Regionals. Make sure to tune in right here on hi-rez TV. For myself, my co-commentators, and everybody else here at hi-rez Studios, thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.